The pulsating heart of Thailand and the lush Kanchanaburi Province guards secrets as ancient as its tropical forests. Here, nature dictates the rules, and the line between life and survival can be cruelly thin. For Maya, a woman accustomed to the city's bustle, and Rohan, a pragmatic and determined farmer, inheriting a centuries-old farm on the edge of this vast, verdant jungle, meant not just a new home, but a constant challenge. The family's old dog no longer offered the necessary protection against the invisible dangers lurking in the tropical darkness. The solution came in the form of Blitz, a majestic male German shepherd with black and brown fur, alert and deep eyes. Blitz wasn't just a dog, he was a guardian born for the task. He grew up absorbing Maya and Rohan's dedication, but a peculiar and unbreakable bond blossomed with Rohan. Blitz followed Rohan like a shadow, every move of the farmer mirrored in the dog's fierce loyalty. However, there was something about Blitz that intrigued Maya. Sometimes he would stop, a living statue, and his deep eyes would fix on the dark line of the forest, as if discerning something beyond human perception. A deep, guttural growl would escape his throat. A warning, a premonition of a threat only he could sense. For Maya, who faced lonely nights on the farm while Rohan stayed overnight in the more distant fields, nights of complete darkness punctuated by mysterious monkey cries and the rustling of unseen creatures, Blitz's vigilance was both a comfort and a constant reminder of vulnerability. Rohan, sensing Maya's growing apprehension, found a new way to bring peace. One day, he returned with a surprise. Kira, a small and adorable female German Shepherd puppy with cream and caramel fur, gentle and curious eyes, Kira not only captivated Maya's heart, becoming her inseparable companion, but also forged an immediate bond with Blitz. The two dogs became an inseparable duo. Their games and the harmony they radiated brought a new layer of joy to the farm. Life seemed to find its rhythm, a peaceful dance between civilization and the jungle. But the serenity was deceptive. One day, when Kira, now grown, was 3 years old, the farm's rhythm was brutally interrupted. Rohan returned from his work, asking for Blitz. Maya hadn't seen him all day. Assuming he was with Rohan, a cold panic began to set in. All day, Kira had been unusually restless, barking incessantly, trying to escape into the forest. Now, the couple realized Kira must have sensed something terrible. The last time anyone saw Blitz was at dawn, when he left first, as usual. It seemed that his habit of getting up earlier than Kira, who loved to sleep in, had been a fatal mistake. The couple took Kira and, driven by her urgency, followed her. She desperately pulled them down a dirt path behind the house until what they saw made them freeze in horror. A gigantic trail of a giant python, and scattered around, tufts of black and brown fur, some stained with dark red. Kira's whimper confirmed the inevitable. Blitz was gone. The jungle's predator had taken their guardian. The darkness of that night was more than just the absence of light. It was the shadow of loss. Rohan, a seasoned farmer, practical and accustomed to facing nature's challenges, felt a wild fury consume his heart. Dawn found him determined. It wasn't just about grieving for Blitz, but about the latent threat the giant python posed. With a vital chicken coop on the farm and the safety of their own home at stake in the Kanchanaburi Province, leaving such a large snake at large was unthinkable. He set out to hunt, driven by a mixture of vengeance and protection, even knowing it was too late to save his loyal companion. But the jungle guarded its secrets masterfully. Despite a giant python theoretically being sluggish after such a large meal, it seemed to have disappeared without a trace. Rohan searched for days, tirelessly, combing the dense vegetation, but the trail simply vanished, as if the creature had dissolved into thin air. Months dragged on, the rainy season arrived, and with it the presumption that the python had found a safe place for its hibernation, far from human eyes. The threat, however, never truly left. It merely hid. At home, Blitz's absence was a sharp void. Maya and Rohan couldn't shake the silent guilt, the weight of that tragic day hanging over them. Kira, the cream and caramel furred dog, once so full of life, seemed to succumb to a deep depression herself. She slept excessively, and her body, once slender, began to gain weight due to her drastically reduced activity. The couple thought it was just sadness in the absence of her friend, but the reality was far more complex, and in a way, a new problem amidst their grief. Kira's condition became a constant worry. It was an additional burden for Maya and Rohan, who were already struggling to overcome their loss. Kira's sadness and discouragement reflected the couple's own pain, making the farm's atmosphere even heavier. They couldn't imagine that within that apparent problem, Kira's weight gain and lethargy, resided a secret that would transform their mourning into a new and miraculous hope, capable of defying the very reality of the loss that haunted them.
All of us, at some point, face insurmountable losses, voids that seem to take forever to heal. The pain of Maya and Rohan over the loss of Blitz in Kanchanaburi Province echoed a universal grief. Kira herself, the cream and caramel-furred dog, depressed and lethargic, mirrored the couple's sorrow, showing how our animals often are extensions of our own souls, feeling and reflecting our afflictions. This helplessness in the face of nature's relentless force and the feeling of guilt became a heavy burden for both, while the jungle continued its cycle, indifferent to human pain. But it is at the height of despair that life, in a mysterious and often divine way, offers us a bridge to hope. For Maya and Rohan, this light came from where they least expected it. What seemed to be just Kira's weight gain and lethargy, an additional problem to manage, revealed itself to be the sweetest of surprises. Kira was pregnant. Pregnant with Blitz's puppies, the dog who was gone. Who could have imagined that life would find such a sublime way to continue, to bring back a part of what had been lost, like an echo from the past that defied the very logic of absence? This turning point is the essence of human relatability. How many times does hope sprout in the most arid grounds of suffering, showing us that even in the deepest adversities, life finds a way to reassert itself? For Maya and Rohan, the idea of seeing Blitz's traits in new lives was a balm for the soul. It wasn't just a pregnancy, it was the promise of a future, a tangible link to the past, proof that loyalty and love are eternal. It is the force of life reaffirming itself, proof that even in the greatest losses, there is a path to renewal and to the emergence of a joy that power or money could never provide. It is hope being born where least expected, a wild echo that life and love always find a way.
The discovery of Kira's pregnancy, the cream and caramel-furred dog, filled Maya and Rohan with a hope that seemed unthinkable in Kanchanaburi Province. The following months were filled with intense and moving dedication. They protected Kira with immense care, keeping her close, aware of the danger that might still lurk on the borders of the jungle. The prospect of losing Kira or the puppies would have been unbearable, an even deeper blow after Blitz's tragedy. They prepared everything for the vet visit before birth, but life, like puppies, rarely follows a schedule. One evening, returning from dinner, the sight on Kira's bed filled them with awe and joy. There she was, with two tiny puppies nestled beside her. But the surprise didn't stop there. As they watched in wonder, Kira began to writhe again, and a third puppy was born. However, this one showed no signs of life. Maya and Rohan's hearts froze, but Rohan, with the determination of a farmer used to fighting for life, picked up the tiny body. He gently rubbed it, held it against his chest, and blew into its nose. And then, a miracle, the puppy began to breathe. As he returned it to its mother, a bittersweet mix of joy and longing overcame the couple. The tiny puppy, reanimated by Rohan's hands, was the perfect image of Blitz as a pup. It was as if a part of Blitz's spirit had returned to them, a tangible link to their lost friend. This was the greatest of benefits, the emotional healing that came in the form of 3 new lives, especially that of a puppy, carrying the legacy of a hero. The months that followed were of idyllic peace. The puppies brought contagious joy, filling the void left by Blitz. The pain of loss was slowly replaced by laughter and play in the garden. Maya and Rohan rediscovered lightness,
the genuine happiness that farm life with their new canine family provided them. The puppies were more than just dogs. They were embodied hope, a daily reminder that even in the greatest losses, life always offers a path to renewal and to the blossoming of a happiness that becomes the greatest treasure.
Life on the farm in Kanchanaburi Province had achieved a new harmony. The days filled with the contagious joy of Kira and Blitz's puppies. The pain of Blitz's loss finally seemed to diminish, replaced by vibrant hope. However, this idyllic peace could not last forever. With the onset of the dry season, the puppies were old enough to play in the garden. The house had a sturdy fence, designed to keep them away from the dangerous jungle. But that day, this barrier proved irrelevant. As Kira, the vigilant mother with cream and caramel fur, watched her little ones closely, something in the air, an almost imperceptible sound or scent, caught her attention. Before she could fully react, the puppies, full of youthful curiosity, were dangerously close to the forest edge, where a familiar and terrifying shadow lurked, the giant python. Kira intervened instantly, trying to protect her naive puppies, who, too young to understand the mortal danger, continued to approach the snake. Each time one of them ventured too close, Kira blocked their path, but keeping all three puppies under control while the python moved stealthily was an impossible task. Focused on the puppies, Kira didn't see the python preparing to strike, and then it happened. The snake lunged, coiling around her and squeezing with brutal force. At that exact moment, Maya was inside the house when she heard Kira's desperate barks. She was about to check what was happening when the barking abruptly ceased. Assuming everything was fine, Maya didn't realize the dog had fallen silent because she could no longer breathe. Rohan, working in his shed, saw nothing. If either of them had looked at the surveillance cameras, they would have immediately seen the danger Kira was in. But just when hope seemed lost and the python squeezed even tighter, the three puppies began to bark furiously and desperately. They tried to bite the snake, but their small bites were useless. Their barking, however, was deafening and alarming. The puppy's fury caught Maya's attention. She had never heard them bark like that. The absence of Kira's barks, coupled with that desperate chorus from the puppies, terrified her. What she saw in the yard made her freeze in horror. Her beloved Kira was caught in the coils of one of the largest pythons she had ever seen. Without wasting time, Maya secured the puppies in a nearby cage, ensuring their safety, and yelled for Rohan to grab vinegar and come quickly. Hearing Maya's terrified scream, Rohan knew immediately. It was the same python that had taken Blitz. Determined not to lose any more of their dogs, they acted with bravery and intelligence. Knowing that vinegar would irritate the python, Rohan sprayed the python's head. The creature loosened its grip, trying to shake off the uncomfortable sensation, giving Maya and Rohan the opportunity to slip their hands in and carefully uncoil the tail wraps, the python's weakest point. They pepped the snake's head away from Kira to prevent another bite. Soon, Kira was free, though in pain and with internal injuries. X-rays would reveal broken ribs. She breathed deeply, alive. They rushed her to the vet. Kira's recovery was astonishing, a testament to her strength and the couple's dedication. She was safe, and the family finally complete. Maya and Rohan decided to keep all three puppies, who inherited the best traits from both their parents. The puppy Rohan revived at birth grew up to be the spitting image of Blitz, both in appearance and temperament, forming the same deep bond with Rohan. The python, for its part, was not killed. In an act of respect for life and nature's harmony, Maya and Rohan took it to a nature reserve, far from homes and domestic animals, where it could live freely. It was the best solution for everyone, a balance between human protection and the wild cycle of the jungle. Every evening, as the sun sets beyond the edge of the tropical forest and the first stars appear in the dark Thai sky, Maya and Rohan smile and watch their four-legged family play in the yard. Kira, vigilant, and her now grown children, guardians of the farm. The pain of losing Blitz will never completely disappear, but his spirit lives on in his puppies, a legend of love, loyalty, and the eternal dance between humanity and nature.